Alright, let's see here. Nope, those are my divorce papers. Definitely not that. Here we are. In 2002, Mike Hansen would enter one of many business endeavors, this being his store, the Davy Crockett store. The first iteration of this Davy Crockett store would sell many Alex Jones related items and just American paraphernalia such as flags, libertarian-esque items. A few weeks later, in February, Paul Joseph Watson would be hired at InfoWars as a website designer, and we would begin designing their new platform. Now to Alex Jones. Alex Jones's girlfriend, Kelly Rebecca Nichols, who went by the stage name Violet Myers, on July 11th would give birth to Alex's firstborn son, Rex Jones. The pregnancy was kept a secret from even people extremely close to them. For reasons Alex stated, "I didn't want people to think he was an accident, on the account of us being unmarried." Their son would have brief breathing problems at birth, but would soon be allowed to take home. July 3rd, 2002, Alex Jones would anger a man by the name of Charlie Sotelo, and they would have a violent altercation. We will be taking a look at this from both sides. From the July 14th, 2002 article by Lee Nichols of the Austin Chronicle would present this from Alex Jones's side. There are two different versions of the incident. Jones claims that a group of 4 thugs, one wielding a knife, accosted him outside the studio and physically attacked him for his beliefs. Sotelo and others tell the story, saying that Jones challenged a man who was ridiculing him, whom witnesses will only identify as Steve or Mystery S. They claim that Steve accepted Jones' invitation to fight and then thrashed Jones hardly. The account, as related to by ACAC producer Max Kane, can be read on webpage maintained by another producer, Shelley Thumbleson. According to Sotelo and the webpage account, after Steve left, Jones told the police he had been attacked with a knife. Sotelo refuted this and says that Jones then spit on him in retaliation, for which Sotelo allegedly punched Jones. Jones described it differently. The police showed up. They started listening to these people's propaganda. The other people fled. They went and watched the security tape, and then they went and wrote the report. And the investigation was pursued on the attackers. Jones said the investigation was never resolved. Both sides claim the security videos at ACAC support their version of the fight, but ACAC said the tape is no longer available. A significantly more biased clip comes from an ancient podcast called The Slime Busters, which was a Austin-based internet show that often targeted Alex Jones a lot.
And in this show today, we're going to go over some of the things that was said in this article, especially an incident that Alex Jones has wanted buried forever. And this is the night that he got his ass kicked in a parking lot and then threatened to, or maybe he did, snitch to the FBI.
He did.
The FBI that he says he has relatives in. So, please.
Yeah. Shelley Tumbleson is a cable access producer and actually worked at the same station as Alex Jones in Austin, Texas. So this guy knows him firsthand, and it's curious that this doesn't get talked about more on the internet, but, you know...
Brother. Now, Lisa, let's get to it. Let's get to the big fight. And right here, let's set this up that...
The parking lot?
The parking lot fight.
This is called the parking lot incident.
Yeah, and this is notorious in Austin alternative media. And, you know, instead of telling the story, why don't we just... I'm going to have Lisa read it. And this...
Okay, a fellow producer related this story to Shelley Tumbleson. Tumbleson almost would have... Well, he would have been there, but he didn't want to be where Alex Jones was. So somebody else told him about it that works with him. Alex challenged a man to step outside into the parking lot. This man had ridiculed him, I guess called him a jarhead.
Yeah.
I mean, it was common there to call him Jarhead Jones.
Yeah, and this guy would call into Alex's show and prank him, okay?
Yeah, and so Alex didn't like him calling in. He would do it to all the shows, but apparently he really liked calling in and pranking Alex. And so he challenges this guy to step outside. This man, Steve, they're calling him Steve, took him up on it. The guy said, okay, let's go. Now, Alex...
Just read it verbatim. Just read it.
Okay, so he challenged a man to step outside. The man took him up on it and whipped him like the little bitch that he is. Not being able to accept defeat, Alex claimed that 4 men with knives attacked him to stifle his free speech. Okay, many of us have been that humiliated in our lifetimes. But then, he got Daddy to call in a favor, and he actually got the FBI to go to this defunct bookstore, now defunct, named Fringeware, to find this guy's address. He did this by concocting a story of the guy, supposedly the guy that he was in a fight with, being one of the leaders of a terrorist organization. And he also made charges that this guy had child pornography. Now, remember when Alex was at the border? At the Canadian border? What was one of the things he said that they suspected him of, supposedly?
Yeah.
Having child pornography on his computer.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Yeah, and why would this keep coming up like that?
But there's something else. Here, look. When the cops came, the cops were called, okay? When the cops came in, of course, Alex was the one bleeding all over the place. When the cops came, Alex was ranting and changing his story with each breath. Began to talk of his importance and his family's wealth and his relatives in the FBI.
Wait, let me read this before we get to it. There's another part of it. This is a long article, and it goes all over the place.
We're trying to pick excerpts.
Yeah. Okay, so upon arriving, C and Company, a total of 3 guys, were talking to whoever was at the desk, and Sir Jarhead, the booger elf, a.k.a. Jarhead, recognized his voice and began to berate him as best his little mind could manage. C is actually very smart, and he was calmly pointing out Jarhead's swelling example of fascism. Jarhead became louder and louder, begging C to step outside. This is when Steve said, and I quote, "I can't believe you're acting like this because he called you a jarhead." He spun around and focused his fury on this guy. When he said, "Step outside and I'll whip you like my bitch," this guy said, "Okay, let's go," and led the way. Okay? Jarhead then hesitates, then followed, as did Charlie from this guy and another guy named Kanya. Okay? So Jarhead's next, this is all right from the article.
I think that's a woman.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, Jarhead's next brave move was to announce that he had a gun and began foraging around in his truck. Steve said, "Oh, now you're going to shoot me, you pussy?" Jarhead came from the truck with his hand in his pocket and slowly advanced towards Steve. Steve retreated 2 or 3 steps, then said, "Then shoot me," and promptly nailed Jarhead with a right hook. They both just stood there for what seemed like a long time. Then Steve let many more fly. Jarhead tried to throw one. That's right, one punch, which grazed Steve's nose, like flicking at a booger. At this point, Iggy came out of the studio. Jarhead saw him and screamed for him to go get Bob. So they went in to get reinforcement for Alex. So when Bob came running out to see Jarhead bleeding profusely and shouting, "They jumped me with knives!" Charlie disputed this, so Jarhead spit blood on him. So Charlie, bless him, punched him right in a mason jar of a head. So when the cops came, Jarhead was ranting and changing his story with each breath and began to talk of his importance and his family's wealth and his relatives and the FBI. Wow. Now, Lisa, A few months ago, we got
It's
criticized.
such a classic visual.
Yeah. Here's Alex bleeding all over the place, ranting and raving that he's going to call.
No, the part about the guy, punching him in the nose.
Yeah.
After Alex spit on him.
Yeah. Alex spits blood on him, so the guy pops him another one in the head. Yeah. So,
Yeah, we did get a lot of heat. See, we actually were attacked by psychos. We really were attacked by a bunch of thugs on the internet.
And as we said...
And we did have to call the law. But look what Alex did years ago.
Yeah. And see, as I said, any man out there that would see the type of abuse that Lisa had to endure, if this happened to their mother, their wife, or
It's
their
still
sister
happening.
or daughter. Yeah, and it's still happening. If this would happen to any of their wives or mothers or daughters or sisters, they would do the absolute thing. Yet all of Alex Jones's little groupies conveniently seem to forget that Alex was the one that challenged this guy to a fight.
Oh,
Alex
by the way, Alex knows that people have been reading this parking lot incident, this guy Tumbleson's website, synesthetic.com, and Tumbleson's friend told him Alex wants this removed. And of course it's not still removed, but just in case it is, we have it on our website.
Yeah, exactly, and this one won't be removed. So Alex challenges the guy to a fight. Alex is the one popping off to him. Alex is the one that challenges him to go out in the parking lot.
Yeah, Alex started the whole thing, and it reminds me of Berlin.
Yeah.
With the police.
Yeah. So when they go out, when the guy says, "Yeah, let's go out in the parking lot," then Alex is taken aback, and he knows that if he doesn't go out, then he's going to look like a big pussy. So what does Alex do? He says he has a gun in his truck.
And so what does he do? The finger in the pocket?
Yeah. like 5-year-old kids used to do when they're playing cowboys and Indians. So this guy whoops Alex's ass. Alex is bleeding all over the place.
And it turns out that the people that didn't get charges pressed against, Alex tried to get them in trouble with the law. He made up a story about the guy being a leader of a terrorist organization and having child porn to get the feds drawn into it. And the feds ended up looking into it and dropping the matter.
Yeah. So now
So where's your proof, Alex?
Yeah. So why aren't all these people talking about Alex Jones calling the FBI?
Yeah.
Alex Jones being a narc. Alex Jones being a snitch.
Because when you're one with God, like Alex is, you can do anything you want, and people won't bat an eye.
Yeah. Now, this is a notorious story in Austin, Texas. Everybody in the alternative media and the Patriot movement knows about it.
Well,
and
wait,
now
we have to tell Alex's side of it.
Okay.
According to Alex's version, Alex got jumped by 4 thugs with knives.
Yeah.
Now, he walked away from this uncut and okay, except he was bleeding because he got punched in the nose and he got popped a few times by the guy that he mouthed off to begin with. But if you're jumped by four men with knives, how do you come away from that without a cut on you?
And what Alex's people did then
a knife cut.
was start calling all these little radio shows and telling Alex's side of the story.
That's what happened the next day.
Yeah.
He had all his minions call every radio
His
and
cult
access
members.
show to tell his side of the story.
That Alex was jumped by 4 terrorists.
And then when Tumbleson's, the anti-Alex camp tried to call those same shows to present the other side of the story, they were not allowed to.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Just like Radio Free Austin.
That doesn't happen now, does it?
The results of these proceedings would be rather lackluster. No one would be arrested, and the drama would end after a few weeks. The 2002 election was steadfast approaching, and Mike Hansen, of course, was running for Travis County Commissioner. A few weeks before the election, Mike Hansen would release his final ad for his election. This ad would include many character testimonies from different groups, specifically Latino Americans that lived in Travis County. The commercial is sadly lost to time, but the bloopers of it was not.
Hold on, let the date go off. Okay, go ahead.
What? Say, hey, we love you, Mike.
You gotta put everybody on, A lot of firecrackers. Show it to me.
Stop.
Let him.
Have a good night. Careful.
Hey, doing, Jesse? Nice to meet you. John Gassway, nice to meet you, Jesse.
He's on the show, too.
Hey, Alan. Nice to meet you. Seeing you all gathered around the table, Bill.
All right, Jesse, give us something. I need a good commercial.
All right.
Just wait.
Fireworks or what?
No! About
Mike Hansen.
campaign.
All right. All right.
Say it again. Say it
All right,
Spanish,
Mike. I'm glad to be here, and I want to buy it.
Not buying. Put that on. Say it in Spanish, though, to the people. Tell them to get out in South Austin, get out the boat. Come over here, further over here.
All right. Ok, mira, amigos, tienen que venir acá a ver la estación que vamos a vender aquí. Son todo bueno, todo está mejor y gratis. Compra todo.
No, you're supposed to vote for Mike Hansen. Wait, for the Kelly Park Show, I want to tell you all about Mike Hansen.
Internet site, or you could say,
Okay.
pick this
Go
up
ahead.
over here,
All right.
or
Okay, quiet on the set.
3 handouts.
Hello, my name is Brown Klein. Mire, vienen y votan por Mike Hansen, revocación, candidate. El número 1, el más mejor de todo de Austin, Texas, ¿ok? Vengan, no dejan. Ustedes vienen a visitarlo. Donde hay, ustedes vienen. Gracias.
Did you say anything about their freedom?
No, I did not. But
Yeah. I was in this big spitfire. Well, I mean, did you say? I mean, are you concerned about their freedom being?
Well, I did tell them to go out and vote for you and support you and give you their support. And you're a very good person.
You did tell them that?
I did tell them.
Good. Oh, dude, have you seen my show play? I got them
I
going.
wish I had caught him, ran out of time.
I know. Let me get this date off here. Hold on. And speak up real good like you always do.
All right.
I'll tell you when. Hold on. Okay, hold on. I'll do it. Hold on.
Hey, Austin. This is Sandy Smith. I wanted you to know that Mike helped me a whole lot when I was raided last year. And I want everybody to support him in his campaign because he is one of the few people that have really come out and helped me with everything that has happened to me. I want you to know that I appreciate all the support, and I want you to support Mike. He's running for commissioner, Precinct 3, and I get...
That truck goes by.
Hey, Austin. I'm Sandy Smith. I'm out here on July the 4th. It's been last year I was raided, and I just wanted you to know that I'm out here trying to help Mike Hansen raise a little money. He's running for Precinct 4, and I guarantee you, if you put this man in office, you won't have happen to you what happened to me last year. Innocent people will be heard, and they will be protected. It won't just be the rich people. He's going to listen to...
Mike Hansen would not win Travis County Commissioner, but he would come in second place behind another fellow Republican candidate who would receive 20,000 votes to Mike Hansen's 3,000 to 4,000 votes. But it was not over for the InfoWars crew. A few weeks later, Alex Jones would release his special report called Masters of Terror.